Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Talking Point. Today in our studios we have Right Honourable Stephen Timms, Member of Parliament from East Ham, and he is also Shadow Minister for Employment. Welcome to the show, Stephen.
Thank you, Syed.
How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, and delighted to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
We are delighted that you could brave the weather and the traffic of London at this time of evening, and you could be here in time.
Thank you.
Great. Stephen was elected to the Parliament from East Ham in 1994 through a by-election. He was re-elected in 1997, and since then he has held his seat. Very proudly he said, that's been 20 years. During this, he was Minister several times, Secretary to the Treasury, and Minister for Digital Britain, whatever that means, we'll talk about that. He studied mathematics at Emmanuel, Cambridge, and he's a keen cyclist. Today he came to our studios on his bike. He's a member of the Ramblers Association, chair of Christians on the Left, and labours in Woy, faith in Woy. Whatever that means, we'll talk about. Now, Stephen, I understand that you are going to Dhaka next week. What's it about?
Well, I'm a patron of a charity called Tier Fund, a church-based
British,
charity.
Bangladeshi
It's
charity?
it's a British charity supported by the churches in the UK, and it works around the world, and it works in Bangladesh. So I'm always keen to have the opportunity to go to Bangladesh, so I was delighted to take up their request that I should go. We're going to Dhaka, as you say, but then we're flying to Syedpur, and we're visiting a hospital there which is being supported by
Is it for
Tier
children?
Fund. I think it's a general hospital. I haven't been there before, so I'm not quite sure what we're going to find. But I'd love the opportunity to come back again and talk about it after I've been, if that's
Sure,
a possibility. But we're going on Wednesday of next week, coming back the following Monday, so it's quite a brief visit. Some time in Syedpur and some time in Dhaka, meeting with UK government representatives mainly, and I'm looking forward to it very much.
Great. I wish you good luck, and I wish that when you come back, we'll get a chance to talk to you how successful your
I'd love to talk
trip
about
was. See? Next week, you said that you're going to Dhaka, and after that, when you come back on 27th of February, you're doing something for the Palestinians. And
Yes.
Christian Palestine.
Well, what we're doing, I'm hosting an event in a restaurant in Green Street in my constituency.
Khana Khazana.
That's right. On the evening of the 27th of February, starting at 7:30. And we've invited two speakers to come, and the title is Hope for Palestine ? Because
Yes, I have a question mark in my mind too. With
I
that
think we all do.
Hope.
I think we all do. And the two speakers, the first is the Reverend Lucy Winkett. Now, she was a curate, a junior church vicar, if you like, in Manor Park in Newham, so I know her as a result of that. But she's now the vicar of St James Church, Piccadilly. And over the New Year period, they ran a programme at that church called Bethlehem Unwrapped in Piccadilly. And the very striking thing about it was they had a replica of the separation wall in Palestine that they built alongside that church in Piccadilly. It was quite a startling sight to see that from Piccadilly. All the people doing their New Year bargain hunting were taken aback to see this very ugly, great concrete structure looking exactly like the separation wall in Palestine. So Lucy Winkett is coming. She's the patron of something called the Amos Trust, which works amongst disadvantaged people in Palestine, Christians and Muslims. So Lucy is coming, and we're also being joined by Syed Ahmed, who's a resident of East Ham, one of my constituents, the chief executive of Unisas Communications, someone who's taken a close interest in developments in Palestine as well. He leads something called the Concordia Forum, which is an annual opportunity for retreat from Muslims involved in public life in various ways from around the world. So Mudassir's got a prominent role there. And we're asking both of them to speak about Palestine. There's an entry fee, it's £20 because you get a meal as well. We're fundraising for the Amos Trust for disadvantaged people in Palestine. And can I give you a phone number? If anyone listening would like to come, we'd be delighted if they would come. They should ring Steve Bonnick, and the telephone number is 07970 100516.
Right, we'll see if we can have that on the screen.
That would be great.
Break. Yep.
Thank you, Syed.
What do you want to achieve? I mean, are there Palestinians in your constituency?
There aren't very many. There are a few. What I've very long been impressed by, however, is that many people in my constituency are deeply concerned by the plight of the Palestinian people. I went with some Muslim constituents to visit Palestine in 2005. We saw that wall for ourselves. And I vividly remember meeting a young woman who was a student who was come home for the holiday, and they wouldn't let her go through the wall. So every day she tried to go through, to go back to her parents and her home, and every day she was turned back and she had to stay in a mosque overnight, and she was humiliated. It was in some ways a small thing, but a terrible experience for her to be refused the opportunity to return to her home day after
just like
day.
Imagine if you were or I were to suffer that and not allowed to go to the other side of my own place, meet my own parents.
I think it would lead to burning anger, and I think many people in Palestine are suffering that anger at the moment, and I'd like to see, and many of us would like to see it change.
What is the Labour Party's policy? I mean, you feel it, and you feel probably personally you feel it, but really can things be changed for the Palestinians? Or
well, I hope so.
We feel the pang, we feel the anger, we feel that they have been deprived and there is no hope. I mean, they have been battered for over several decades. And
I mean, there is perhaps a slight glimmer now with these talks that John Kerry has been promoting, that maybe we are going to see some movement. I can't say there's a lot of hope, but maybe there is just a glimmer with all the activity that has been in the Middle East in recent months. And all of us need to press and hope and pray for a breakthrough so that Israel and Palestine can live in peace alongside each other. That's what I think all of us would like to see.
Well, we started with religion and politics, you see. I mean, don't you see that that is playing a lot in creating the problems? Religion is playing a lot of...
Well, people very often point that out, and there are lots of examples, not just in the Middle East, Northern Ireland, but other examples around the world where that is the case. But I think it's nevertheless a mistake to say you shouldn't mix faith and politics. I think the truth is that faith is a very good starting point for politics, because faith is the source of exactly the values that we need to make politics work. And I think
we have more similarities than differences.
I think we do. If you look at the values, responsibility, solidarity, patience, persistence, compassion, truthfulness, those values are instilled by Christian faith, by Muslim faith, amongst Hindus, amongst Jews, amongst Sikhs. And so although the beliefs of the different faiths are different, and there's no point in pretending we all believe the same, because it's simply not true. But the values are in common. And what I've seen in my work is that those values are a very sound foundation for people of different faiths to work together. And I met Muslims and Christians working together in Palestine on behalf of people who are facing exactly the same problems. And that's the kind of working together across the faith divides that I think is promising for the future, not just in Palestine, but here in the UK as well.
Yeah, how we wish that most people had the same kind of feeling and approach like those who are working for charities, see, because they are different breed. They have compassion. They feel that on both sides of the wall they feel compassion. See, if somebody is not privileged enough to
And there are some wonderful examples of that. In Britain, at the moment, we've got a very large number of food banks,
right.
church-led food banks around
right.
the UK that are meeting the needs of people who can't afford enough food for themselves. Islamic Relief has been organising in the mosque to collect food
True.
to support
True.
those food banks. So there are really good collaborations. Another example in our area in East London is the work of London Citizens, which is a coalition of churches and mosques and a synagogue, trade unions, schools, community
you also have
groups.
something for the homeless, isn't it?
Working in a whole variety of ways, helping unemployed people into work, but also doing political campaigning for a living wage, for example, to raise the wages of people so they've got an adequate standard of living. And that's a very good example, I think, of Christians and Muslims, people of Jewish faith, working together to make our society better. And I'd like to see much more of that. And I think we are seeing more of it, and it's very encouraging for the future.
So that is a cosmopolitan Britain and multicultural Britain that you think that it's working?
I think it is. I think there's lots of hope for the future. And I'll tell you this as well. I'm a Christian. I think we owe a great deal to Muslims in Britain because, 20 years ago there was a bit of a sense that religion was a thing of the past. It was on its way out. You didn't really talk about it. Now we've got many Muslims in Britain for whom their faith is the key to their identity. They're not going to keep quiet about that. And I think that's given other people of faith, Christians like me, the opportunity to speak about what we believe. And I really welcome that, and I'm grateful for it.
And we have some important political leaders on both the sides, you see, in Conservative Party and Labour Party, and they are Muslims.
Yes, we do. We do. We've got some very prominent Muslims in Parliament. My good friend Sadiq Khan on our side, others in other parties. And I hope we'll see many more people over the years, particularly young people in our part of London. Rushnara Ali, the representative in this area, my very good colleague. We need more people like that. They're making a great contribution, and I look forward to many more of them in the years ahead.
How many Muslims we have in the Parliament right now?
I can't give you the full number. On our side, obviously we've got Sadiq Khan and Rushnara Ali, we've got Shabana Mahmood, we've got Anas Sarwar. So a growing number. Mohammed Sarwar was the very first. Now his son is the MP for that constituency. So the number is growing, and they're doing a great job.
Well, we are nearly at the end of our first segment, and we'll take a commercial break at this point. And this is a very significant and important achievement for Muslims that they are in the Parliament, but we need more members. Okay, viewers, we'll come back and we'll talk about British politics with our distinguished guest today. Don't go away. We'll be back soon.
আপনারা দেখছেন টকিং পয়েন্ট, সৌজন্যে মাহবুব এন্ড কো অ্যাকাউন্টেন্টস।